Woohoo, guys. This is another story time with Joe. It's going to be a long one. The light's going to keep changing. All be in and out in different colors. Really? Looks like that. Anyway, it all starts out back when I was 4 or 5 years old. And my father bought me a bedroom set that had a trundle bed, a desk, a chair, a dresser, and a mirror. But there was something odd about the mirror. And we're about to get to that. The mirror was much older than the wood it had been placed into. It had properties, shall we say. One night I was woken up by the mirror, and there were multiple entities in there looking at me, talking to me. And like I said, this is a hard one. They, the guy in front was basically a goat man. I believe it was Bahamut. And then he was surrounded by 4 others. And they told me that I would always be protected. And then they faded out. And this mirror, other people have seen people who passed and walked up to the other side of the mirror to say hello. And eventually I hid it away for a long time. Now I keep it 10 feet away from me. I call it the portal. It's a very old piece of glass that can, what do you say, can bring things from behind to the future and allow people to at least cross over to the other side of it. They can't cross through it. But anyway, so that's where it all began. I was protected. Now, let's fast forward. I was just turning 14 years old when Dad bought me a BB gun. Not the same guy as my father, but Dad. And it was really funny. He gave me some crappy Christmas present and then told me to go get something else out of the trunk of the car. And that's where my Daisy BB gun was. And I was excited about it. Now, by then, we had already moved the trailer house down here to the lake. And it was our lake house at that point. Parts of it are still there. We've built an actual real lake house there. But I took that BB gun out. Now, my shoes, I'm always out in the water and getting yucky shoes. They had to stay on the porch. We had a local Great Dane that would hijack one of my shoes. Not both of them, just one. And I went out one day and I was going into the woods. It wasn't really developed down here back then. And we called him Moose. He's so dang big. He's a big old Great Dane. And I walked out in the woods and he followed me. And I had my BB gun, a framing hammer, which was my rock hammer at that point in time, a little chisel, a Swiss Army bag, which I miss, and a hunting knife. And we were out walking through the woods, and I came across the weirdest thing. And this is where it gets really weird. It was a dead spot out in the woods, about 10 foot across. I didn't have a tape measure, but it was very unusual because everything in it was dead. The plants, the little animals, the birds, everything in it was dead. I thought it was awkward. I got away from it pretty quick. I ran into multiple more of those out there in that area that seemed to be fresh dead spots. And I also ran into a lot of ones that seemed to be much older. I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe pesticide testing or something. And so I kept moving on. I started hearing something moving behind Moose and I out in the woods. And it sounded big. We kept moving, and it kept moving, but I couldn't see it. And then I came upon a clearing. It was a little pasture out in the woods or something. And I got out into that with Moose. And I started moving back towards the community. I think I was. I may not have been. I might have been lost. But I kept hearing it. I kept looking over my right shoulder to see what was over there in the woods. And, oh God, this is hard. I couldn't see it. I kept moving forward. And then I started running. And I heard running in the woods. And I'm out in the middle of a clearing, so I'm in the open, so's a moose. And I thought I had left the sound behind. And then suddenly I hear it coming from in front of me at the end of the clearing. And this guy was fast. I didn't know what it was because I couldn't see it. And it decided to run down the clearing towards me. And then I knew what it was. It was big, it was hairy. It wasn't that big, but it was hairy. Maybe 6 foot tall. And it was running towards me, and I had nowhere to go. And so, I mean, that BB gun wasn't going to do anything. My hunting knife wasn't going to do nothing. That hammer wasn't going to do nothing, or the chisel. So I consigned myself to face nature. And whenever it got up kind of pretty close right in front of me, I started hearing it in my head. And it was like, hi, how you doing? Basically, kind of thoughts. And I realized what it was. It was another teenager that was out there screwing around in the woods. And we were probably, 6 foot apart. Moose was gone. He took off like a heartbeat. And then off in the distance, on the other side of the clearing, was a very deep roar going on. And the guy in front of me, his eyes brightened up really big, like he was about to get grounded. And he took off that way, I took off the other way. Pretty certain it was his dad yelling at him. And that's what happened there. I believe that they are interdimensional. And they come here to hunt, breed, feed, birth, those kind of things. Anyway, that's my story.